Hello handy viewer such as you are, and welcome to this episode 9 of Don't Touch the Beard, in which I video, document and then talk nonsense over the top of games of Guild Ball. I am, as ever thus far, playing down in Darksphere Games in Lambeth, south of the river, the only reason to go south of the river. This week I will be playing my good friend John, who once again will break out his butchers for the channel. Something of a bogey team so far for me on Don't Touch the Beard. Hopefully this week I can break that record and get a win over the Butchers Guild. John has played me with his Butchers Guild once before against my blacksmiths in a game of Cage Ball, at which he utterly destroyed me. I think it is only fair to say. The only reason I have not put that game up on the channel is because I don't have time. To spend another 10 hours or so editing the video, when, especially now that was with a proxy model game, and I of course now have that beautiful Steel Forge 6. Now, I decided this week to go with the Hunters Guild. Two reasons. One, they're the only guild that I have that's fully painted, so it'd be nice to get some fully painted models on the channel. Equally, they were the first guild that I picked up when I first got into Guild Ball, and I wanted to give Theron a go now that he has been balanced somewhat. Lastly, we've not had any hunters on the channel, and whilst I am by no means an expert with them, I've never won a game with hunters. So I've never won a game with hunters, and I've never beaten butchers. This is faring well, but hopefully I can do them a little bit of justice and also be good to have some hunters content on the channel. Now, we are of course still in the midst of the Guild Identity Cards open playtest at the moment, and John and I wanted to do our bit. And I went with Bait the Trap, so I can, nice little snare game that I can play around with, equally the opportunity for additional VP. And John went with the much maligned Bloodthirst, giving all of his players the Life Drinker attribute. Both of these reduce our healing rates to 2, so I imagine this is going to be quite a bloody game. Now, last week, of course, I did try the overhead camera, and the overwhelming feedback from that was no! It's fair to say you didn't like it. So this week, I'm going for a much shallower angle. Again, do let me know in the doobly-doo whether or not you like it. So the 10-man rosters that we both went for was, for me, Theron, Scatha, Fahad, Snow, Egret, Hearn, Jakar, Cena, Zorola, and Minx, whereas John went with Ox, Fillet, Princess, Boar, Boiler, Brisket, Veteran Brisket, Meat Hook, Veteran Ox, and Minx. So in the blind reveal, I went full chibi and put down Fahad and Theron, as I'd nicely got those cards in my mystery box, and John went with Fillet and Princess as opposed to his usual Ox. So then on to the draft, I went with Hearn, John with Meat Hook, I took Cena, John took Veteran Ox, I took Egret, he took Boiler, I took Minx, he took Boar. So as soon as he put Veteran Ox in the lineup, I immediately tried to fill it with as many women as possible. So at this point we decided that the train was kind of dull, so maybe we should have done this earlier, but we did it at this point, so there we are. We added some fast ground, and we took away a barrier from the bottom, then just made sure that everything was at least 6 inches away from each other, and handed out plot cards. So as the kicking team, I deploy first, Egret at the bottom of the field with Hearn and Theron nearby, whereas at the top end from where we are now, nearer the scoreboard, I went with the Furious 3 of Minx, Fahad and Cena. Theron getting the ball as he will be kicking off for me. Butchers in turn having Princess and Boiler near the top of the field to face off against the Furious 3. Fillet and Meat Hook having a nice central position with Veteran Ox nearer the top as well. Boar right down at the bottom nearer that barrier. So Theron jogs up the pitch and kicks off, and it scatters towards the edge of the pitch but remains on the pitch. Frankly, I could not be happier with how this has gone. There is a nice obstruction between a piece of terrain between the ball and the Butcher's nearer player, and between my nearest player there is a nice piece of fast ground. So my ability to retrieve the ball after this kickoff is looking very, very strong. Now, of course, there is no initiative phase on turn 1, so I do not get to snare someone, contrary to some comments I've seen on forums and the like. With that guild identity card, it is only really active from the end of turn 1 onwards. So onto Butcher allocation. That is 4 on Fillet, none on Princess, 1 on Boar, shocker, 3 on Meathook, 2 on Boiler, and 2 on Vet Ox. Hunters, by contrast, I get a Leaning Tower of Theron, giving him a full 6. Hearn gets 1, Ygritte gets 3, and the Furious 3 go wanting. So the Butchers get us underway, and Princess makes a jog up towards that terrain piece in the top third of the pitch. I activate Theron, who, using Nature's Growth at the start of his activation, places a 3-inch AoE within 8 inches of him, which counts as a forest. Now, I think I get the placement off, but I am at least making John think about his advance towards me at this stage. Theron then both Sunstrikes himself and Ygritte, meaning that any character plays that are successful will generate momentum as well as any other regular effects. I then jog Theron forward, careful to essentially be 8 inches away from both Meathook, Veteran Ox and Boar, so that they are all within bow range. One thing worth bearing in mind in the following activation is the Hunter's Prey special rule on Theron, which means any target he damages is also snared. Boar first, you get a Patwang, so that's a snipe, is a successful character play, so that is 2 damage and -2/-2 kick, ensuring that even if somehow he does get the ball, it will be staying on him, and that is the snared condition, and a point of momentum due to Sunstrike. I then use Blessing of the Fun Father, Blessing of the Sun Father, to use another character play without spending a point of influence. And it's another snipe, so I think this time it was Meathook. I'm going to assume so, only needing 4s, there they are, 4s in the beard. And that is 2 damage, -2/-2 kick, and a snared on Meathook. I then use Pinned on Veteran Ox, ensuring that he can only advance directly towards Theron, that he takes 2 damage, and again he is snared. Because of course Veteran Brisket is not in this 6, therefore he doesn't have 2-inch dodges to hand out. I'm perfectly safe, my plan is without foible. So that's a nice little stack generated for Theron of momentum. Meathook goes and tools up Vet Ox, not Fillet. Vet Ox is slow, he can't reach me, surely. Meathook then sprints forward. I say sprint, she's snared, and I've done a super good job with no drawbacks whatsoever of slowing down the Butchers. Yep, that's what's happened. Minx activates and charges a terrain piece because she's an idiot, and that doesn't cost me anything, but it immediately ends her activation, and in no way ruins my advances for further turns. Fillet activates and puts Quickfoot on Veteran Ox. Fiddlesticks. Fillet then charges Theron because I put the forest in the wrong place. I declare a counter-attack and a defensive stance. So she is TAC 12 versus 5s and 1s. She gets 2 net hits, which is a momentous 1 damage. My counter-attack is TAC 6 versus 5s and 0s, is 1 net hit, which is enough to dodge the hell away from her. And that's the last of her influence, so Ygritte sprints forward over the fast ground, snaps the ball to, runs back a further inch, back onto the fast ground. Ygritte then flurries into Meathook, so Meathook and Fillet, as they're both within 2 inches, as Fillet is within 2 inches of Meathook, take 2 points of damage, and also the poison condition. Lovely. And this generates a point of momentum because she's got Sunstrike on her. Yes, poison due to the Venomous Strike rule. There it is, there's the rule on the screen. That's kind of like the thing that I do on this channel, isn't it? So you know what's happening. Venomous Strike, poison. Got it? Cool. Carrying on. So Ygritte makes a 1-inch dodge due to Swift Strikes. And then at the end of her activation, because she has caused damage to an enemy model, she gets to make a further 4-inch dodge, making that ball nice and secure. Which would be great if the Butchers cared about the ball, but they don't. So, due to Vindictive Male, Veteran Ox charges the Ron for only 1 point of influence. Because a Quickfoot, you can reach him now. Calculated that well, mate. Things to bear in mind for this series of attacks is, of course, Bloodthirst. Veteran Ox has Life Drinker, so he's already taken 2 wounds from being pinned. So all he has to do is cause damage twice to be fully healed. So because Vox has got a 2-inch melee, I declare a defensive stance and not a counterattack with the Ron. So that's attack 11 versus 5s and 1s. 3 net hits is a momentous 3 damage due to being tooled up, and he heals a point of damage due to Life Drinker. Second attack 7 versus 4s and 1s. 3 net hits is a further momentous 3 points of damage and a further point healed. So Theron has now taken 6 wounds, and Veteran Ox has healed himself back up to full. That card's rubbish. It's terrible. It's awful. Blood Drink is terrible. He then uses Take a Breather to clear conditions himself, getting rid of that pesky Snared. I charge Fahad forward using Furious for free, but ending his activation immediately as he doesn't make contact with anyone. Seeing my Furious shenanigan, John clearly wants in on the action and does exactly the same thing with Boar. Before he does, however, he does use a point of momentum to take a breather and to clear the snared condition from him. In a shocking move, Cena then charges using Furious to nowhere, immediately ending his activation afterwards. Boiler isn't snared. Forgot about that. Important things to bear about Boiler in his activation coming forward is, of course, the crucial artery rules, meaning that he will cause bleed whenever he damages a model, with the anatomical precision rules, so that he ignores a point of armor. And of course, Cena's tough hide will also come into factor in this following series of attacks. So Boiler is attack 5 versus the 2s and 0s of Cena. That is 4 net hits, a momentous 2 damage, and of course bleed now. Second attack 5s versus 2s and 0s, 5 net hits is a knockdown. How is that little boy pushing over a bear? Anyone at all? Hearn sprints forward heroically. So that ends the turn, and we head straight into turn 2. In the beginning of the initiative phase, I use Bait the Trap to snare Fillet. Given how much momentum they got in that first turn, hardly a surprise that Butchers win initiative and decide to go first. So then, turn 2, Butcher's allocation. Fillet gets 6, Boar gets 1, Meathook gets 1, Boiler gets 2, Veteran Ox gets 2, and Princess gets nothing. I in turn give Theron 1, because he's dead, surely. Fahad gets none, Hearn gets 2, Ygritte gets 3, Cena gets 2, and Minx gets 2. I think it's fair to say that I'm already immediately regretting not putting Zerola into this lineup, just for that out of activation jog that I could have used to pull Theron backwards and not have made the engagement line quite where it was. Hey ho, live and learn. So Fillet jogs forward, and remember she has taken damage through Flurry and she has taken damage through Poison, but also do bear in mind that handy guild identity card that is hanging around, giving all of the Butchers Life Drinker. So that's attack 9 versus the 4s and 1s of Theron. She gets 4 net hits, which activates Blood Rain, giving just Theron the bleed condition, as well as the 2 damage, of course. I, in turn, have declared a counterattack, so that's attack 5s versus 4s and 9s. 2 net hits is a double getting the hell away from Fillet. Fillet, in turn, throws a handful of animated razor blades towards Fahad and Cena. Really, can someone explain how this ability works? Like fireballs and balls of poisonous smoke, I totally get, but what course is this? It's cool, don't get me wrong, it is cool. I just don't get what does it. Finally, she then puts Quick Foot onto Veteran Ox, making him quicker again. I activate Fahad, who charges into Veteran Ox, so he is attack 6 versus 3s and 1s. 3 net hits is enough for a momentous 1 dodge. Now my idea here is to charge past Veteran Ox to engage Boar, so that Boar's Furious is less than useful and he doesn't get to go straightly into Theron, and he has to at least burn influence, killing the kiddie before he does so. Special rules to bear in mind for this one, as ever, is the Life Drinker from Bloodthirst and also the Berserk ability on Boar, which means if he does damage with an attack, he can do another one. Not necessarily against the same target, just another attack. So the Hulk Hogan look-alike brings that massive cleaver to bear on the tiny little black kitty. That is attack 8 versus 5s and O's. 3 net hits is a momentous 2 damage. And then again, attack 8 versus 5s and O's. 4 net hits is momentous 3 damage. That is all 6 of Fahar wounds. Bye-bye, kitty, bye-bye. So there we are, early points on the board. That is Hunters 0, Butchers 1, as Boar taken out by... Fahad taken out by Boar. Of course, due to Furious, Boar can just head off straight into Theron. Brilliant. I can't quite make up whether or not I wasted his resources or if I in fact gave him victory points. You tell me, oh handy viewer such as you are, down in the doobly-doo if you would be so kind. Meanwhile, that is a TAC 12 ball versus the 4s and 1s of Theron. 5 net hits is a momentous 3 damage. Theron not looking very well at all. Berserk triggers and the incredibly efficient boar gets another go, so that is TAC 8 versus 4s and 1s. 5 net hits this time, that is a momentous 3 damage on the much beleaguered Theron. Best get some units out of him before he dies. So at the start of his activation, Theron causes Nature's Growth to appear. After a bit of measuring and widgeting, it appears in the Butcher's half of the pitch, just into the sort of middle third of the section as it is on screen now. Theron then uses his advance to walks forward and attacks Boar. That is TAC 6 versus 3s and O's. 4 net hits is a momentous double push, shoving the big man back. I then play field dressing and use Come On Mate on Cena to remove conditions from him, and then equally use Take a Breather on Theron to heal himself. Now, of course, due to my guild identity card, that is only for 2 hit points, but it was essentially free with the plot card, and at this point, I need as many as I can get. See, if you will, oh handy viewers such as you are, how many times I say the following sentence. Special rules to bear in mind under this attack are, of course, the Life Drinker ability as gifted by the Bloodthirst Guild identity card. That rubbish card, the terrible card that's awful, and I don't know why anyone would ever take it. Equally, the bear has tough hide. Everyone remember? Butcher's got Life Drinker, bear has tough hide. I think this covering special rules bit at the beginning works quite nicely. I do. So Vetronox makes his way over to Cena the Bear. He is TAC 8 versus 2s and 1s. 7 net hits is a momentous 4 damage. Reduced down, of course, due to Cena's tough hide. Second attack, again, TAC 8 versus 2s and 1s. 7 net hits is a momentous 4 damage once more, reduced by tough hide on the bear. So the beginning of Cena's activation, I push away Boiler due to the ability on screen, which must be pronounced in-game at all times as the following.
Due to intimidating roar.
So that is Cena's TAC 7 versus 3s and 1s of Vetronox, who declares a counter-attack. So that is 4 net hits, which is a double push. Why I didn't take the momentous knockdown, I don't know. That was it. It was so I could use Furious. So yes, I've pushed him successfully away. I'm no longer engaged by anyone, so I can then use Furious to charge without influence right back into him. Now, because I have charged, he declares a defensive stance. So that's TAC 11 versus 4s and 1s. 3 net hits is this time the momentous knockdown. And then with his last point of influence, that's TAC 7 now versus 2s and 1s and Vetronox. 5 net hits is a momentous 2 damage and a knockdown. Here's an interesting one, oh handy viewer such as you are. So of course, Vetronox has the Lash Out special ability, so that when an enemy model causes damage to him with an attack, after the attack, that model then takes 1 point of damage. Now, of course, Cena in turn has Tough Hide, which we ruled didn't take effect in this, as the damage was not coming as either off a character play or a playbook damage result. So in this particular instance, we ruled that Tough Hide had no effect on this. I still feel this is correct, but I turn it over to you, oh handy viewer, such as you are. Did we get this right? Please leave some comments below the table in the doobly-doo. Let us know whether or not we got it correct. So after all of that, the dog walks to the bear. Hi, bear. Minx in turn, because I've put her behind that pillar and therefore haven't got much of a charge lane to be able to reach anyone, because I can't see anyone, idiot, has a sprint around the pillar. Of Minx's rules to bear in mind for the next bit, Hunter's Prey. Any model damaged by her gains snared. I an attack with Minx on Boiler, who in turn buys a counter-attack. I am TAC 5s versus his 4s and 1s. 2 net hits is enough for a momentous 1 dodge, moving out of his engagement, so the counter-attack momentum goes begging, and putting 1 damage and a point of snared on Boiler. Now Boiler moves up to the bear, and the huge list of things to bear in mind. Assist from Princess, Crucial Artery giving out bleed, Anatomical Precision taking away the armour, and I haven't even put the thing up on screen, but Bloodthirst as well, giving him Life Drinker. Whew. So after all that, that is TAC 7 versus 2s and O's. 4 net hits is a knockdown. Once more, the small little boy walks up to the bear and goes Cena tipping. Second attack, attack 7 versus 2s and O's, 5 net hits, is again a momentous 3 points of damage. So of course after Bloodthirst, Boiler has all his wounds back. Terrible card, awful, don't know when anyone would ever take it. Ooh, Ball. Not just a special ability on Snow card, but also a sudden thought that occurred to me during this very game. So I activate Aigret, and with her 3/8 kick, she passes the ball across the field to Hearn. Aigret then flurries into Fillet, giving her taking 2 damage from her, and the poisoning condition due to venomous strikes, and of course that flurry will also impact on Boar as well. 2 damage on him, and again the poison condition. And then at the end of her activation, due to Back to the Shadow, she makes a 4-inch dodge further away from the Butchers. Can't say I blame her. Meathook uses Take a Breather to clear both poison and snared from her. She then sprints further forward after her beloved. Who's ready for the Hunter highlight of the game? I know I am. So I activate Hearn, who sprints forward. He then uses Come On Mate to clear conditions on Cena the Bear, and then with Nature's Blessing teleports to the other side of the forest terrain place that was left for him conveniently by Theron earlier on in the turn. This leaves Hearn well up the pitch and within 4 inches of the goal. That is a tap-in. Hunters 4, Butchers 1. Nice one, lad. He then runs the length and dodges up towards Veteran Ox, Boiler and Princess towards the top of the screen. So that is the last activation of the turn, but before we move into the initiative phase, there's a kick out from the Butchers, placing the ball directly on screen as you see as a free ball, no one in range to snap it. So at the beginning of the initiative phase, I use Bait the Trap to snare Veteran Ox. And despite being 3-0 down on momentum, Hunters win initiative and I elect to go first in my excitement. Maintenance phase, Bleed ticks down on Theron, Poison on the Butchers, and due to haemophilia, Fillet heals a point of health due to the presence of Bleed near her on Theron. So then I now have a whopping 11 influence to play with, so Theron gets 2, Fahad gets none as he comes back on, Hearn gets 3, Aigret gets 4, Cena gets 2, and Minx gets none. Butcher's allocation then, so that is another Leaning Tower of Fillet, giving her 3, none on Princess, 1 on Boar, 3 on Meathook, none on Boiler, and 2 on Veteran Ox. So I activate Theron, who uses Nature's Blessing to put down a forest covering both Fillet and Boar. I need to slow the Butcher's advance as much as possible. I have a very tenuous grip on the lead of this game, and if they reach me, that grip will very, very quickly diminish. I know full well he has the ability to generate a lot of momentum and to use that momentum to glide, but if that means he's using momentum to do that and not to bonus time, not to heal or remove conditions, so much the better. Theron then puts Sunstrike on Aigret so that she can start generating some momentum for me again. And Theron himself moves into Boar and shivs him. So that's attack 6 versus 3s and O's. 3 net hits is a momentous 2 damage, and naturally, due to Hunter's Prey, that also gives Boar the snared condition. Using that momentum, I do Blessing of the Sunfather on myself, and use the free ability to put a pinned directly into Meathook, I believe, if memory serves. Yes, there we are, snared, and you have to advance directly towards Theron. Lots of snared out now. Naturally, Boar uses Take a Breather to clear poison and snared from him. Boo. Boar in turn punches the Forest Rambo in the face. So attack 8 versus 4s and 1s, 2 net hits is a momentous 2 damage, and of course heals Boar as well. So that is enough for Boar to take out Theron. So that is now Hunters 4 versus the Butchers 3, and John then plays the man marking card. So on the next maintenance phase he's going to get an additional 2 influence. Insult to injury. Boar then glides by spending a point of momentum and then uses Furious to charge for free directly into Cena. Now don't forget, handy viewer such as you are, Bloodthirst is the thing. That terrible card will come into effect. Equally from a defensive standpoint, Cena's Tough Hide will mitigate some of the damage that's about to come his way from Boar. So when all's said and done, that is tag 13 versus 2s and 1s. 9 net hits is 4 damage, concussion, and a momentous 2 damage. So 6 goes down to 4, and I lose a point of influence from the bear due to concussion. Berserker kicks in and he gets a second attack, so that's attack 9 versus 2s and 1s. 6 net hits is momentous, 4 damage going down to 3 due to tough hide. That is enough for Night Night Bear. What a phenomenal activation by Boar. 4 VPs secured for the Butchers, and of course he'd already gotten the first one from Fahad earlier in the game. Boar very much establishing himself as a potential for man of the match on this one. Hunters 4, Butchers 5. I activate Hearn, who fears nothing from Vetronox as he's currently knocked down. Instead, skewers Boar, doing 3 points of damage and the snare conditioned on the big man. He then decides he wants nothing of this fight up in the top corner after seeing the bear go down quite so easily, so he uses Nature's Blessing after a little bit of a jog to teleport to the other side of the forest and for the ball to snap too. Because, of course, Hearn is a striker now, at least that's how it is in his head, plus the estranged daughter. I'm not entirely sure I understand that particular beat of the storyline. Perhaps you can tell me in the doobly-doo down below. He's abandoning her once more. So, ball in hand and within poking range of Fillet, might as well stab her with a spear. That is attack 5 versus 4's nose due to being snared. 1 net hit is a momentous, singled out so that any other friendly guild model that attacks her will be at +2 tack. Would be great if I had someone in range. So Meat Hook goes and she tools up Fillet, making her a tool if that wasn't the case already. Here comes that special rule summary. Yes, so Meat Hook has Crucial Artery, so she will cause bleed to anyone she damages. Equally, she has Hooked, so that will happen to anyone that she damages, so they're a -1 death for the rest of the turn. Oh, and of course the terrible, terrible card, that is Bloodthirst, giving her Life Drinker. So Meat Hook into Hearn, that is attack 7 after being bonus timed. I declare a counterattack. 3s and 1s, 5 net hits is a momentous 2 damage and a tackle. And if that wasn't enough, of course, I'm now bleeding at -1 defense and she's healed. Ugh, it's like banging your head against a brick wall. So my counterattack, that is attack 5 versus 4s and 1s. 1 net hit is a momentous singled out, and that was the wrong choice. She then takes a breather on herself, spending the momentum to heal, because Life Drinker wasn't enough, and now she's at full health again. Meat Hook swings again. She is now attack 6 versus 2s and 1s due to me being hooked. 3 net hits is a momentous 2 damage and a push, and she pushes her out of her melee range. I then charge Fahad forward, mainly as an ablative activation, which may have been a mistake, considering that he has come back on, of course, on 3 wounds. John activates Fillet, who uses Take a Breather to heal herself. Special rules to bear in mind this time: Blood Dance, so whenever Fillet hits a bleeding model, she can make a 1-inch dodge. Equally, due to the fact that they are a bleeding model, she gains +1 damage to all playbook damage results on that model. Oh, and of course, Bloodthirst for the terribly, never situationally useful Life Drinker to heal herself when she does damage. So, Fillet is attack 7 versus Hearn's 2s and 1s. That is 4 net hits for a momentous 4 damage due to tooled up and doing +1 damage against bleeding targets. Second one, that's attack 7 versus 2s and 1s. 5 net hits this time, so that's a momentous 5 damage and a dodge. And so far, 4 wounds healed. Attack 7 versus 2s and 1s. 3 net hits, momentous 4 damage on Hearn and 5 wounds healed on Fillet. Lastly, attack 7 versus 2s and 1s, 5 net hits is a momentous 5 damage and a dodge, and 6 wounds healed in total on Fillet. Bosh. So welcome to the VP party, Fillet. That is a takeout on her, and we are now at Hunters 4, Butchers 7. It is not looking good for the forest folk. So Ygritte will flurry into Meat Hook. She is still forced to hit. She's not currently snared, but that will then ping across into Fillet. So that's 2 points of damage on each, and Venomous Strikes will do the poison condition on each. So due to Swift Strikes and the fact that Ygritte has done damage, I can then make a 1-inch dodge with her. I then bonus time a snapshot at Fillet and miss. So I try the same thing again without the bonus time, and this time it works, naturally. So I Swift Strike for 1 inch, and then at the end of my turn, back to the shadows for 4 inches. Vetronox now, so he spends a point of momentum, because look how much he's got, to take a breather to clear conditions on himself. He then in turn waylays into Minx, so that is tack 7 versus 4s and 1s, 4 net hits, is a knockdown. I had declared a counter-attack, that is of course useless. Second attack now, tack 7 versus the now knockdown Minx's 3s and 1s, 4 net hits, is a momentous 2 damage. 3 quick ones in succession now. Minx activates and stands up, Princess activates and moves into Minx, Boiler activates and moves into Minx, and that is the end of the turn. So I have no momentums, and the Butchers have 8 momentums, so the Butchers win the momentums race and elect to go first, and I gain a point of momentums. So I use Bait the Trap to put Snared onto Veteran Ox. So then, turn 4, and the Butchers have 2 additional influence due to taking out Theron, remember. So, Fillet gets 6, Princess none, Boar 1, Meathook 3, Boiler 2, and Vet Ox 2. Hunters in turn, Theron 4, Farhad none, Hearn 3, Ygritte 1, Cena 2, and Minx 1. So we're starting this turn off with Boiler, so of course Anatomical Precision, Crucial Artery, and Assist from Princess, and Life Drinker from Bloodthirst must be taken into consideration. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of rules. So that is tack 8 versus 4s and 0s, 3 net hits, is a momentous 3 damage on Minx. Second attack, again, tack 8 versus 4s and 0s, 3 net hits, another momentous 3 damage, and of course the bleed condition. I sprint Ygritte out of range of Fillet, and of course, as soon as I remove my finger from the table and clock out, I realise I've just put her in range of Boar. Idiot. Top of the screen now, so that is Veteran Ox, tack 9 versus 4s and 1s of Minx. 1 net hit is 1 point of damage on the Union selection. John then bonus times for tack 10 versus 4s and 1s, 5 net hits, is a momentous 3 points of damage. So it is now Hunters 4, Butchers 9 with a Veteran Ox takeout on Minx, and he has activated the Old Ways, bringing up the 4-inch Owner Aura, which will give bonus damage and tack to those around him. He then jogs towards Ygritte. Finally, he uses Take a Breather to clear conditions from himself, so that Snared goes as well. So I bring Farhad up with a Furious Charge as it is free and he has nothing on him. Equally, Boar is currently snared, so he is 2s and 0s. And thanks to the Isolated Target rule on Farhad's card, I will be getting +1 damage against him. So that is tack 7 versus 2s and 0s. 7 net hits is a momentous 3 damage dodge, a momentous 3 damage dodge, and 2 damage. I have, of course, just fed Boar victory points, so he turns around and hits the kitty. Tack 8 versus 5s and 0s, 2 net hits, due to the Owner Aura, is momentous 3 damage. Bam, off you go, kitty. Kitty, night, night. Boar is just a one-man wrecking crew so far in this game, so that is Hunters 4, Butchers 10, with a Boar takeout on Farhad. On a roll, Boar then charges straight into Ygritte with his Furious Charge. I in turn declare Brace for Impact. I mean, why wouldn't you? So Boar is now tack 13 versus my 4s and 1s. Only 2 net hits, however, though. Awful rolling, thankfully, is a momentous 3 damage. Berserk triggers, so that's tack 9 versus 4s and 1s. 1 net hit. Terrible rolling here. Boar's clearly getting tired, and that's a momentous 2 on Ygritte. Satisfied with his work, he then takes a breather, clearing Snared from himself. A little stunned, I activate Theron and use Nature's Growth to deploy a forest within 8 inches. I then jog forward and try to mess up the Butcher's plans just as much as I can with the Denial Archer. So I put Sunstrike on Theron and then successfully bonus time a snipe into Meathook. 2 damaged, snared, -2/-2 kick, and 2 points of damage. Snared, of course, coming from the Hunter's special rule, Hunter's Prey on Theron's card. I use a point of momentum to put Blessing of the Sunfather on myself and then immediately use that to put Pinned again into Meathook, so that's 2 damage, and she may only advance directly towards Theron. Meathook in turn activate and tools up Fillet. She then spends a point of momentum to take a breather and to clear both Snared and Poison from herself. Meathook then passes the ball directly to Fillet, who uses a point of momentum to pass and move and makes a 4-inch dodge. I, of course, now realised I should have used Nature's Blessing to create the wood that would block line of sight to my goal, as clearly it is not a takeout victory that John is looking for. In turn, I activate Hearn, sprint him forward, and attempt to use Nature's Blessing to engage Phillips so that he will at least have to fight his way out of engagement to make this shot on goal. Sadly, I am just out, so instead I teleport up to the combat at the top to try and make something of a difference in case Philip misses. So it is now attack 5 versus 2s and O's of Boar. I get 2 net hits, which is enough for a momentous 2 points of damage. Second attack, attack 5 versus 2s and 0s, 5 net hits. Can I get a skewered off onto Philip? No, she's out of range, so I'll stick her on Veteran Ox instead. So, the fat lady, she is a singing, although I have no idea who the fat lady is in either of these lineups. It has not gone well, I think it's fair to say. But all credit to John, and we finish out the game. Philip makes a sprint forwards, puts herself into tap-in range, and very, very easily, just gently knocks the ball against the post, bringing the final score, Hunters 4, Butchers 12. So there we are, handy viewer, such as you are, a decisive victory for Butchers in the end, and once more, Butchers get the better of me on the Don't Touch the Beard channel. Don't Touch the Beard channel, Beard Minis channel, Don't Touch the Beard web series. Congratulations to John. I know he was a little disappointed that I hadn't put up the Butcher's victory over the Blacksmiths on my channel. This is purely down to time, and now that I have the miniatures, why put up a video of proxies? But it is fair to say he smashed me in just as well in this game as he did on that. Bait the Trap allowed me to play quite an interesting game. However, it's a game that I don't think I am very well suited to. Equally, I don't think Hunters are a team that I am very well suited to. It was lovely to get them out on the pitch. I haven't got a clue what I'm doing with them, and I think that was reasonably evident throughout the course of that video. Bloodthirst and Life Blinker are a real thing. I'm not for a second going to say that it is the optimum choice for Butchers in all situations. I don't know. I am not an authority on Butchers. I'm not really an authority on Guild Ball. I'm just some daft fella that does silly videos. However, that card in this particular game, and so forth in any other game where people win damage by attrition, so I'm looking at you Alchemists and Hunters and the likes, that continual top-up of health was ferociously demoralising. Just everything you little bit you do, here's my poison, here's this, here's that, here's some pinned going in, here's this, just to have that immediately just wiped clean, just to watch my opponent continually remove health with abandon from his cards was wonderful. Yes, they only drop down to a heal rate of 2 when they're doing the momentum based healing. That came up very, very little, particularly in this matchup where I'm looking to do some damage, but not necessarily a lot of damage. Without J-Car in the lineup, it's awesome to just watch the healing just continually being topped up. Try it out. If you're a Butchers player and you are unhappy with this Guild Identity card, and I know Guild Identity cards are not part of the main game, they might become part of the main game, but it's something we're testing out. If you were in any way unhappy with it, try it. In all honesty, it was beautiful to watch, and I think it's an incredibly effective card in this and similar matchups. I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect against Veteran Rage or against Brewers or anything like that, or even in the mirror match, but in this kind of game, it was, and I mean a lot of it's going to be down to my play, and a lot of it's down to John's play, because I think John played an excellent game. Didn't put a foot wrong as far as I'm concerned. Perfect selection of cards. I think maybe I should have gone for the higher heal rate with the free counterattack through Poised. The healing would have been much more useful. I also really think I should have had Zerola in my lineup to bring Theron back after that initial first turn slowing. Who she would take the place of in my lineup, I'm not sure. Couple of quick things if you haven't seen already. I am due to go to Jumpers for Goalpost 3 with Morticians, because I can't take Blacksmiths, and you, the handy viewer, such as you are, have voted for Morticians in your droves as the team that I should take. So if you are wishing to be involved in that project or to help me out in any way, please help me, don't know what I'm doing. Please make your way to that playlist, as that would be incredibly useful of you. Similarly, there has been some incredibly exciting blacksmith news just yesterday, with Master Hearth has been announced, and you can see my preview video and here just the huge amount of excitement we have of having the Labyrinth Bag Lady in the blacksmith lineup again over on another playlist. So that is it for another week, dear handy viewer such as you are. Congratulations once more to my opponent John for a well-deserved victory. Absolutely smashed my face in with Fillet. If you would like to subscribe to this channel, there is a beard in the centre of the screen. Please click it and you will be notified instantly of when this nonsense appears. Equally, there are playlists either side should you wish to view more of it. And as ever, handy viewer, such as you are, I need a better outro.